Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite movies. The Lost World Jurassic Park is also one of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie so much that I actually fall asleep to it every night on a portable Blu-ray player. I'm going to show you a picture of what that is. That's an actual portable Blu-ray player, if you guys didn't even know those things existed. But it seems like, anything that came after those two films was just questionable. I didn't hate Jurassic Park 3, but I disliked it. The only reason worth liking that movie was because of the Spinosaurus and the Velociraptors, in my opinion. Everything else, it just was just sort of lazy. Especially in this one scene that, to this day, I cannot believe they didn't see this, but in this one scene, after the Spinosaurus killed the T-Rex, because they were using animatronics for the creatures and everything, you could see motor movement and stuff, and you could actually see in this one scene, I'll play the clip here, you could literally see that there's like a piece of machinery from the animatronic that is powering the Spinosaurus in that scene. I don't know how they missed that. The director was crummy for this. I have no respect for that at all. I don't know how they missed that. Anyone could have seen that. A toddler could have seen that. It's so infuriating how anyone could have missed that and said, no, that's okay. And then Jurassic World was good. I loved it. It wasn't good. It was great. I love that movie so much. I played the Lego video game based on it. I played the mobile game. I loved Jurassic World. And it was one of the last few great movies I ever saw when I was still a teenager. And the same cannot be said for the next two films, Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. Those two movies absolutely flopped, especially Dominion. However, unlike Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion, I have good reason to believe that Jurassic World Rebirth, the 7th film coming out this year, will succeed. And I do believe it will be probably as great as the original two films based on the novels. And by the way, speaking of the two original films, the first one and The Lost World, in the first novel by Michael Crichton, there were events that happened in the book that didn't happen in the first movie, but they were then put in The Lost World. Most notably, the only one I can think of in my mind is with the T-Rex. In the book, there is a scene where the two kids are hiding under a waterfall, and the T-Rex sticks its head under the waterfall, and it's trying to use its tongue to try and, get them. And you don't see that happen in the first movie, but you do see that happen in The Lost World. They actually show it off with, I think it's the female. They actually show it off, trying to, lick the guy, and, it eventually, grabs one and eats him. But my point I'm trying to make here is that there were events that happened in the books that didn't happen in the movies, or they did, but they were pushed out later into the, future stories. There was a Carnotaurus that I think was supposed to be able to turn invisible, I think. Or no, it could camouflage. But that was cut from the Lost World movie. And that was then put into, some kind of arcade game. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. There was some kind of Carnotaurus that could camouflage. That's basically the inspiration for the Indominus Rex in the 4th film. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I have reason to believe that Jurassic World Rebirth will succeed because not only is it being written by one of the greatest movie writers of all time, David Koepp. He was the guy who wrote the first one and The Lost World. And fun fact, he actually was the guy that gets eaten in, I think it's Chinatown or something like that. But, because they love doing Easter eggs and stuff like that. But anyway, he's the guy who did The Lost World and the first Jurassic Park movie. And he hasn't made any screenwriting since then. So he's coming back after almost 30 years to make a movie, which is fantastic. And it's really exciting because this guy absolutely knocked it out of the park with the first two films. And it's a fucking shame that The Lost World isn't accepted well as the first one is, because I think The Lost World is easily as good as the first movie. But anyway, it's also being directed by the legendary Godzilla director Gareth Edwards. I love the first Godzilla. I think that still remains to this day the ultimate in terms of American Godzillas. I think this one's probably the best. But yeah, so Gareth Edwards he's a cool director, and also they actually confirmed this. I can't believe they're actually doing this, but they are including in the movie a scene from the first novel. This is big news because the novels are nothing like the movies that they're based on. The books came out first, obviously, but if you read the books, if you know the meme with Mr. Incredible and how he becomes uncanny or something like that, like how it starts off good and then becomes bad, that's basically the comparison between the movies and the books. Like, the books are dark. If the movies were anything based off the books, they would have been rated R. There's absolutely no way. The books are just nuts. I didn't read all of the Lost World book, but I did read, like, the first, like, I think, like, 100 pages of it. I read the entire first one as a school project, but anyway, they're including a scene in Jurassic World Rebirth. It's ripped straight out of the first novel. And what I and a lot of other people are speculating it is going to be, if you read the novels, the river scene. In that scene, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I, have read the book, but in the scene, there is a raft. The main characters, like Dr. Grant and the kids, they're all floating downstream. I don't know if it's with the baby T-Rex. I could be wrong. I think that comes before. I don't know. But anyway, there's a much larger T-Rex that, goes after them and it, attacks them, but the kids are able to escape. Dr. Grant escapes, but then it chases them into the waterfall and then, it tries to get them with its tongue. That's basically what happens. So what I and a lot of other people are thinking is what's going to happen in the book, sorry, not in the book, in the movie, is that scene, is that entire thing with the river and the T-Rex. So I want to kind of get onto the negative aspect here, because I don't want the T-Rex to be back in this movie. It may sound weird considering that the logo for this movie and for any other ones, except for Jurassic Park 3, has always been the T-Rex skeleton. It's always been the T-Rex, like the showcase dinosaur. And I don't want that to be the case. I'm okay. Here's my thing. I'm okay if they bring back a T-Rex, but I don't want them to bring back the T-Rex, which is the one from the first movie and all of the Jurassic World films, like Rexy. They're basically a Marvel character at this point. I get why. I know that there's like a fandom. I know that she's basically become a legacy character. I know legacy characters are basically impossible to kill off now. I'm okay if they bring back a T-Rex. I just don't want it to be her, because Rexy is old at this point, because she was born in like the 80s or something like that, and then obviously because, dinosaurs age differently than humans, she would be easily, I think, like 40 or something years old, and I don't know how old that would be in T-Rex years, but she's old. And obviously she, in the fourth film, she was really kind of scrawny. You can kind of see her rib definition, and she looked kind of weaker. She looked less, she was not in her prime. And you could see that in comparison to like the other T-Rexes that we saw from like The Lost World or even Jurassic Park 3. And I know that they also showed off the buck and doe from, the Lost World in Jurassic World Dominion. But even then, she looks old, and I don't think it would be fair to have her return in this movie, because it's kind of getting a little sickening and irritating having to have the same dinosaur come back over and over. Blue, the Velociraptor, was understandable, but not Rexy. At this point, she's just a marketing scheme. What I and a lot of other people would love to have come back is the Spinosaurus. Now, I know that a lot of other people are thinking, no, don't have it come back because they might ruin it. That's kind of a flip toss. It's a 50-50% chance, whether they will ruin the Spinosaurus if they bring it back at all, or if they don't. If they do, here's part of the reason why I think the Spinosaurus will return is because of the plot. Scarlett Johansson's character, I forgot what her name is, but she's an ex-soldier. She, goes on a new self journey to kind of rediscover herself after the military, and then she reunites with some of her old army buddies or whatever, and they're tasked with having to go on this expedition to go after the 3 largest creatures to ever exist. There's the Mosasaurus, which is, the big water creature. The Quetzalcoatlus, which is that giant, supersized, pterosaur that we saw in Jurassic World Dominion, and the last one, which I am guessing it will be the Spinosaurus, and here's why. If we're going off of the lore of the Spinosaurus, in 2001, when it was introduced, it was a juvenile in that movie, and it was already bigger than a fully grown T-Rex. And it was massive. It had already been around for like a few years. I think the Spinosaurus was born in like 1999, I believe. And then when it returned again in Camp Cretaceous, Darius Bowman, the main character of the series, he mentioned how when he first saw it, that it was way bigger than he expected it would be. Which means that either it's still growing or, you know, already big enough to the point where it outgrew the Indominus Rex, which was basically the biggest dinosaur, quote unquote, in the Jurassic Park universe. So either the Spinosaurus was not done growing and it'll get way bigger in Jurassic World Rebirth if they bring it back at all, or it's just big enough to be classified as the biggest thing on the planet, the biggest land predator pretty much. So with that, I think they will bring back the Spinosaurus, but at the same time I don't, because at the same time there's also, you know, confirmation about, you know, the whole like scene from the novel that'll be in the movie, which a lot of us are speculating will be a T-Rex, because that's the dinosaur that attacked the main characters in the book. So, who knows? I mean, we may have another T-Rex Spino showdown. I have no idea. I'm only guessing it'll be the Spinosaurus because of the fact that it is technically, realistically, the biggest land predator. A lot of other people have mixed opinions about that. Some say it's Carcharodontosaurus or Giganotosaurus, but I'm going to say it's the Spinosaurus. That's basically the whole plot of this movie, is that it's about Scarlett Johansson's character goes on a journey of self-rediscovery or whatever, and she has to work with some of her old military buddies, like Mahershala Ali. I forget some of the other character, like the actors' names, but yeah, it's basically like that. The last two movies just kind of stunk, you know? I mean, maybe that's just me. I know Dominion stunk because a lot of people hated it, because the Spinosaurus was not in it. So this would be a perfect opportunity to bring it back, because we were all expecting and wanting it to show up. But yeah, I do think this movie will be good. Will it be better than the original two films? No way. Not a chance. But definitely, I do think it will redeem itself. It will save the Jurassic saga. And on top of that, in addition to, like, you know, more Jurassic news, I'm going to be, whenever it comes out, I'm going to play the new Jurassic Park survival game. I'm really looking forward to playing that. It'll be the first survival/horror game I've ever made content on. That's not true. I did do some Ark stuff a couple years back, but, you know, nothing that I've been fully dedicated into making. So this will be like the first, you know, actual survival game that I'm really excited to make. I know most of the people who are going to be watching content about the game might be watching content creators like the Gaming Beaver. I would, because I grew up with watching his videos. He's an absolute legend. So, but, you know, I don't care. I'm still going to make content on it. But, oh yeah, also too, the first trailer for this movie will be on Super Bowl Sunday. They confirmed this. So it probably won't be like a long trailer, just like a teaser trailer. This was my opinion on Jurassic World Rebirth and how I believe it will succeed. They've got a good director backing this movie and a brilliant screenwriter. So yeah, that's basically about it. Thank you for watching.